verse 219. The realm attained by jhana devotees, karma, and the exalted state of the Buddhas, these three are beyond thought. They belong to the Vijnana realm that surpasses thought. So this is quite an unusual list. Jhana devotees, karma, which is just activity, consequence producing activity. These two seem to be being put on the same realm as the exalted state of the Buddhas. We're told that they are beyond thought, and they belong to the Vijnana realm that surpasses thought, which I think we can understand as the alaya Vijnana. It's even more strange when we think back, right back to the verse I covered in video 11. Video 11 was about meditation, and it covered verse 9, which regarded meditation as no more than an exercise in discrimination. So it might be worth listening to that one again. Video 11 on meditation. So what are we to make of this verse of the rather unusual list? Well, once again, it really only makes sense when we look at it from the point of view of enlightenment practice. The realm attained by jhana devotees. Professor Suzuki's put in brackets, the spiritual realm attained by jhana devotees. So he wants to emphasize something here. Now, jhana itself is a state of tranquil focus. The mind is being reined in, and the meditator is sitting in a state of focusing. It's a very nice state to be in. But then we've got the word karma after this. You don't often see this. There's something rather reminiscent here of the threefold training, which consists of meditation, ethical behaviour, and wisdom. So it might be that karma is really sila, which is living in accordance with the ethical training principles. And this leads to the exalted state of the Buddhas, the state of wisdom. So there's something evocative of the threefold training here. And this was covered in video 36. But like I said, in order to make sense of this, we need to understand it from the perspective of enlightenment practice, because the thing is, meditation and karma, which essentially just means action, I think if it meant sila, it would have said sila, but it's karma. They are not the same as the exalted state of the Buddhas, which is one of insight into our fundamental situation. So understanding this from the perspective of enlightenment practice, the jhana devotee isn't just one who practices jhana, who gets absorbed in jhana. It's the object that's important here. And the object is emancipation itself, liberation itself. The object here is suchness. It's realization. This is the starting point for enlightenment practice. The starting point for enlightenment practice is enlightenment itself. And work only makes sense from this perspective. You do not work to get enlightened. You work to remain in enlightenment. So this is the work. And as I've often said, the work takes place in everyday life. if we understand this conventionally as taking the jhana devotee to be one who's sitting in meditative calm, meditative bliss even, but what happens when they've got to get off their cushion and get on with things? How does that meditative absorption relate to the rest of their lives, the rest of their daily life, the rest of their daily schedule, the rest of their daily demands? The enlightenment practitioner isn't concerned with sitting on a cushion and getting into pleasant states of absorption. There's no reason why you can't do that if that's your inclination. The enlightenment practitioner is interested in suchness. This is the realization of our essential awareness on which everything else depends, on which our understanding of who we are, the nature of the world, the nature of our relationship with that world, all of that depends on awareness. This is the alaya vijnana, which isn't really a vijnana at all, but I'll come to that later on. So this is it really. You touch this awareness, you realize it, you awaken to it, you work to remain in it, and that work means dealing with your mood habits, the energy of your mood habits, your mood patterns. You keep coming back to that realization. It's renewed afresh each time, and this is the exalted state of the Buddhas. They're beyond thought, they're beyond any kind of discrimination, which is really what Vijnana means. It's some kind of discriminatory thought. It's the thought whereby we categorize things. So the alaya vijnana isn't really a discriminating state. But back in video 90, I spoke of non-discriminating discrimination. There's one discrimination we still need to make, and that is realizing when we're not practicing. We need to be able to discriminate when we need to practice, which is whenever we're not practicing. So the alaya vijnana is when we make the conscious effort to discriminate this pure awareness and turn our mind to it once again. This is the alternative we have to being lost in tacit, delusional assumptions regarding the nature of who we are and the nature of the world.